of years. The same laws that make it illegal for Jews to follow the commandments in Torah law that obligates Jews to defend themselves.
Historically, the Jewish people have been denied the option of self-defense. Really, it's in America today, it's in Western civilization today that we have the possibility of arming and protecting ourselves. The last time Jews were allowed to own any kind of defensive weaponry was during the time of Bavel, the authors of the Babylonian Talmud. During that period, Jews were allowed to be armed. But from then until today, Jews by and large have been disarmed. And so we have not been prepared to defend ourselves. We are not used to this way of thinking. We are very much used to being the victim.
All right, so David adjusted his yarmulke, cocked his pistol into game, something he wishes a civilian would have done to defend Pittsburgh's Tree of Life Synagogue 3 days ago when Robert Browser walked in and shot 11 people dead. When this happens, you get a wake-up call, said David, a 28-year-old owner of an optician shop in New York. David was one of the 9 men who attended a one-day course on Tuesday. Peep that. Sabbath to Saturday. Situation happens. On Tuesday, there was a class to attend that reservations were made on Sunday. So that was their reaction to their shooting in the church. Go get the strap. Continuing. David was one of the 9 men who attended a one-day course on Tuesday at a privately owned tactical defense academy near Scranton, Pennsylvania. A class that was scheduled on Sunday in response to the Pittsburgh shooting synagogue. He was there to learn how to use a gun to protect himself and his community to prevent and repeat of Saturday's massacre, the deadliest targeting Jewish people in U.S. history. The fact that we are at war, said Stern, a veteran officer of the Israel Defense Force, a director of the academy, told his class, all that extra information for no goddamn reason. We want every Jew in America to get the strap, my translation, to be armed, is what he said. In 6 years since Stern started the class, the academy demand for firearms training had never been higher than after Saturday's attack. So they've been walking around like snowflakes this whole time, and that attack made his numbers go up. Hundreds of interested students contacted Stern in the last 72 hours, but all 4 or 3 were Jewish. Wow. So at least not only did they go to a gun range and have the proper response, but they actually had a Jewish range to go to. Ain't that something? The spike in demand follows President Donald Trump's statement that the shooting might have been prevented if the synagogue had employed an armed guard. But many Jews have resisted the idea of having guns in synagogues is the best way to prevent such attacks. A rabbi, and I'm not going to read all this extra dumb shit that he's just putting words in here for no reason, said Tuesday that he did not believe that a call for Trump to have more armed guards will prevent these types of attacks in the places of worship. What kind of country are we going to live in if every house of worship has to have an armed guard? Robert said, I think having less access to that kind of weaponry is going to be much more effective in the long run than having a simple guard. According to Stern, an armed guard at the synagogue is a useful deterrent, but a replacement for armed civilians, since a shooter could kill the armed guard before injuring and killing congruence. To wait for law enforcement to arrive is also not the answer, Stern said. Some of the students attending the course were card-carrying National Rifle members. Oh, wow. So these Jews have no problem being a part of the NRA along with the good old boys. The good old boys did not scare them away from being a part of the NRA. Gotcha. Members, some of them are card-carrying members of the NRA. Some have never fired a gun before. The two worked in schools and wanted to defend Jewish children. Many of them intend to bring their guns to synagogues for the next Sabbath, Saturday. And he said some other bunch of stuff, but it doesn't matter. So basically, they reacted how black people should have reacted after what happened in Carolina with the little white boy shooting up schools. And even though all those church burnings weren't racially motivated, some of them were probably inside jobs, some of them were, just a fire happened. And I think one was proven to be on some racist shit. But with all that going on, we didn't have that response. Now, some people say that black people's passivity or pussiness is due to religion. I don't think that. This kind of proves that's not true. I think that's just some psychological shit that black people have been thinking that they can't win anyway, so whatever. But every other religious magical group gets the strap. Muslims, Obama said they cling to their Bibles and their guns. He was talking about white folks in the South. And they're religious and magical too. Muslims, they cling to their Qurans and their AKs. And when they don't have AKs, they cling to, or they strap up some bombs on their chest. But yeah, every group understands protection. Hell, the Bible even tells you, Luke 22:36, he said unto them, but if you have a purse, take it, also a bag, and if you don't have a sword, sell that shit and buy you one, aka get the strap, right? So this idea that black people's passivity is due to their religion is just nonsense. Even in religion, there's a time for war and fighting and protecting and defending yourself. That's one of your responsibilities as a man anyways of your household. Every other group gets that. For whatever reason, black people don't. It is what it is. But with instant and fervor, they went out there and got strapped up. Sabbath to Saturday. Tuesday, they were in a class. And not only in a class, but they're in a class where the instructor is also Jewish. So they keeping their money circulating like they're supposed to, right? But that's just it. That was a quick response to the shooting that happened. I didn't even hear a lot about it and didn't see much news about the situation yet. But yeah, that's it. They just had the proper response. I'm good. Notes to be taken, lessons to be learned. If you believe in this whole boogeyman, Trump is empowering and emboldening people and all that, but you voting for 2 anti-gun Democrats in red states, good luck with that protest, fam. And I don't believe in luck. Oh yeah, Georgia. Stacey might win. Y'all better get ready for them 10-round magazines and those fixed stocks and all that shit, because if she win, she gonna do that shit.
1928, pre-Nazi Germany. Street violence breaks out due to political and economic uncertainty. Well-intended citizens with seemingly good intentions, like the seemingly good intentions of Jewish gun control advocates today, passed the 1928 Firearms and Ammunition Control Act, which required all gun owners to register their firearms. The foundation for disaster was laid. Little did they know or foresee the consequences. (1933), Hitler is elected to power. He uses the registered names of firearm owners to his advantage. While loyal party members were excluded, all law-abiding gun owners were put on a list, the same kind of list gun control promoters want in America today. Gun owners were then slowly and systematically disarmed. 1938, Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass. The Nazis know exactly how many Jews have firearms. They know exactly how little resistance they will encounter. On the 9th of November, the coordinated attack begins. "91 Jews are murdered. 25 to 35,000 are arrested and placed in concentration camps. One day later, an amendment prohibiting Jews from possessing weapons is passed.
Juden ist der Erwerb, der Besitz und das Führen von Schusswaffen und Munition.
Jews are prohibited from acquiring, possessing, and carrying firearms and ammunition.
Waffen und Munition, die sich im Besitz eines Juden
Firearms and ammunition found in a Jew's possession will be forfeited to the government without compensation.
Wer den Vorschriften des Paragraphen 1 vorsätzlich
Whoever willfully or negligently violates the provision will be punished with imprisonment and a fine.
Zuchthaus bis zu 5 Jahren.
This is man's law at work. This is man's law creating situations where people are vulnerable.
When the right to self-defense is denied, God's law is violated. Would history have been rewritten if the SS confronted thousands of armed Jews during the riots of Kristallnacht?
I'm not going to say that things would have been different if they had been armed. I don't know how things would have been. But I am going to say that if they had been armed, they had a chance.
(1940), 400,000 unarmed Polish Jews are herded into the Warsaw Ghetto, awaiting deportation to Nazi extermination camps. 1943. A few hundred Jewish resistance fighters, armed with smuggled-in pistols and rifles, succeed in stopping the well-trained and heavily equipped Nazi forces for a month.
Facing a machine gun, there isn't much that a group of unarmed civilians can possibly do. I don't know what would have been different, and I'm certainly not going to stand here and say the Holocaust wouldn't have happened. I don't know. But I do know that if Jews had not turned in their firearms, if Jews had not registered their guns on Hitler's registry, things would have been different.